I'm Judge Susan Crawford, and I'm running for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I'm running to be a common sense justice on the court, and it is just an honor to be here with the Wisconsin Counties Association today. I want to thank President Mark O'Connell and all of the staff at the WCA for all of your work organizing this event every year. Our county governments, all 72 of them, are really the heart and soul and cornerstone of our state. I'm grateful for the work that each and every person in this room does for our fellow citizens. Thank you for your dedication and your commitment to public service. April 1st is the election day. It's just around the corner, and the stakes of this race really could not be higher. The election will not only decide the future of our state, but it will affect all of our personal rights and freedoms. So I want to start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Chippewa Falls, a tight-knit community, a place where people looked out for each other. My dad was an engineer who got his degree from UW-Madison with the help of the GI Bill after he served in Korea. My mom is a third-generation Wisconsinite. She grew up in Greene County. My family got its start there back in the 1860s when my great-grandfather started a barber shop on the square in Monroe, Wisconsin. I grew up in a family of 6 with 4 kids, and life wasn't always easy for my family. My little sister was born with a medical condition and had some special needs. And as her big sister, I was often the one who was responsible for looking out for her. When I was in high school, my dad was laid off from his job. He worked in a pretty technical area, and it took a while for him to find other work. So we went through some tough times as a family, but we stuck together and worked hard and made it through. Part of my job was to finance my own college education as a result. So I went to Lawrence University in Appleton and did a lot of shifts in the cafeteria dish room, paying my way through college. But those were early lessons that really taught me a lot. Taught me about the difference between right and wrong, about the value of common sense, the importance of honesty and hard work, and those are all principles that have guided me throughout my legal career. So I started my career as a prosecutor at the Wisconsin Department of Justice, where I took the toughest felony cases, often all the way to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And I worked hard to get it right as a prosecutor. That means enforcing our laws, taking violent criminals out of our communities, holding big corporations accountable when they harm our families and our communities, and for the victims of crime, making sure that their rights are protected to serve justice. I think that's all a matter of common sense. Later in my career, I represented ordinary Wisconsinites, standing up for them in our courtrooms. I fought to protect the rights of public school teachers and to protect the rights of Wisconsinites to access the ballot. And I represented Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin and their doctors to protect women's access to reproductive health care services. So fighting for our fundamental rights and standing with those who have had them taken away, protecting our communities, that's all a matter of common sense. Now I'm a circuit court judge here in Dane County, and I work hard every day to uphold our laws and our Constitution. In my courtroom, I treat everybody the same. Everyone gets a fair shake. That's what Wisconsinites expect from their judges and what they deserve. It's all part of the common sense I learned growing up in Chippewa Falls. I want everyone who enters my courtroom, whether they win or lose at the end of the day, to leave feeling like they were heard, they got to make their case, and that the judge treated them with respect. So when I sit down behind the bench, I'm standing up for Wisconsin families and Wisconsin values. And that's the kind of justice I'll be on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. But here's what's at stake in this election. My opponent, Brad Schimmel, is the most extreme candidate to ever run for this office in Wisconsin history. He has spent his career focused on politics, partisanship, and self-promotion, and we don't need any of those things on our Wisconsin Supreme Court. And now Elon Musk is trying to buy a seat on our Supreme Court so that Brad Schimmel can rubber stamp his extreme agenda. As a partisan politician, Brad Schimmel tried to restrict access to reproductive health care for women. He, as a candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, has said he supports the enforcement of an 1849 law that would be a criminal ban on nearly all abortions in the state, no exceptions for things like rape, incest, the health of the mother, even sexually abused children. And that's not the only way Brad Schimmel has failed Wisconsin women and families. As Attorney General, Brad Schimmel let thousands of sexual assault kits go untested for years, while the victims of those crimes, mostly women and children, waited for justice. He dragged his feet and only got 9 kits out of a backlog of over 6,000 tested in over 2 years. That left dangerous criminals on the streets, and it left the victims without justice, and it shouldn't happen. Brad Schimmel always has been, and always will be, focused on his own extreme agenda and his own personal politics than doing what's right for our state. That's why he wasted taxpayer dollars filing lawsuits on right-wing causes, including proudly suing to take health care away from hundreds of thousands of Wisconsinites. He was one of the only attorneys general in the country to refuse to sue the opioid manufacturers when they flooded our communities with addictive drugs that have destroyed so many lives and so many families in Wisconsin. You know, while 71 of 72 counties in Wisconsin passed resolutions to join those lawsuits, Brad Schimmel sat on his hands. At the same time, he was taking more campaign contributions from pharmaceutical companies than just about any other candidate has in Wisconsin. So Brad Schimmel will always put his own extreme agenda and his extreme politics ahead of a fair and impartial Supreme Court. And you're going to hear a lot over the next few weeks, 5 to be exact, about my commitment to you and the people of Wisconsin. I will be a fair and common sense justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and you have my promise to do that. I'll always do what's right for our state, and I'll protect our families and our communities. Thank you all for listening to me today.